Most people hear alcohol and think empty calories and regret. But whiskey's story is nothing like the rest. Beneath its fiery surface, historians swore by it as battlefield medicine, and recent science reveals it houses more antioxidants than red wine, plus a chemical born only from aging oak. But why did doctors keep prescribing it even when alcohol was outlawed in the United States? The answer turns centuries of health advice upside down. Long before whiskey became a staple of smoky bars and collectors' cabinets, it was known by a name that carried far more weight: Uisce Beata. In Gaelic, that means water of life. Medieval monks in Ireland and Scotland distilled this fiery spirit not just for merriment, but as a remedy, a liquid they believed could heal wounds, cure ailments, and even revive the weary. By the 15th century, whiskey had found its way into the hands of apothecaries and physicians, who prescribed it for everything from toothaches to digestive troubles. This is the origin story that gives whiskey its ancient medicinal air. On the battlefield, when gunpowder and steel left more wounds than doctors could treat, whiskey stepped in as a stand-in for missing supplies. Surgeons poured it over cuts and scrapes, and they hoped the sting meant it was working. The science behind its effectiveness was shaky at best, but in desperate times, belief and burn often went hand in hand. That battlefield improvisation helped cement whiskey's reputation as a useful, if imperfect, medicine. Fast forward to the United States in the 1920s, when Prohibition slammed the door on legal alcohol. Yet for those with the right connections and a willing doctor, whiskey remained within reach. Pharmacies across America filled nearly 500,000 whiskey prescriptions every year, complete with government-issued labels that read for medicinal purposes only. It was the only legal way to get a bottle, and doctors wrote prescriptions for everything from the flu to anxiety. In a world where alcohol was banned, whiskey kept its reputation as medicine, not just a vice. That legacy lingers in every amber pour, echoing a time when the line between remedy and recreation was as blurry as a morning after. Antioxidants usually get their 15 minutes of fame in red wine, but whiskey has a secret weapon tucked away in its amber glow: ellagic acid. This is not just a buzzword for health food labels. It is a polyphenol powerhouse, prized for its ability to hunt down and neutralize free radicals before they can damage cells. But here is the twist. Whiskey gets its ellagic acid not from grapes, but from the oak barrels where it ages. Each year spent in those charred wooden casks draws out more of this potent compound, transforming raw spirit into a drink with measurable antioxidant punch. Analytical chemists have detected up to 1 milligram per kilogram of ellagic acid in single malt whiskeys, levels that rival, and sometimes outpace, what is found in red wine. The magic happens during barrel aging. Heat and ethanol break down oak's natural ellagitannins, releasing ellagic acid into the spirit, drop by drop. The longer the whiskey rests, the richer its antioxidant profile becomes. This is not just marketing fluff. A 1998 study found that a standard pour of malt whiskey boosts blood antioxidant levels just as effectively as red wine, while unaged spirits showed no such effect. In other words, the barrel is doing more than adding flavor. It is building a chemical defense team. So while wine lovers might toast to resveratrol, whiskey drinkers can raise a glass to oak's own contribution. It turns out, the healthiest part of whiskey might be the years it spends waiting in the dark. Under the microscope, bar ice is not just frozen water. It is a thriving habitat for bacteria. In hygiene studies, samples from restaurants and pubs revealed up to 30 species clinging to the surface, including strains of Staphylococcus that can cause everything from stomach cramps to skin infections. Microbiologists decided to test what actually happens when these contaminated cubes meet different drinks. The results were not exactly appetizing. Vodka, with its neutral pH and 40% alcohol, left bacteria stubbornly alive. Gin and cola did not fare much better, with several strains surviving the plunge. But whiskey told a different story. In every sample, the combination of higher alcohol and a pH of about 4.2 proved too much for the microbes, and none survived the encounter. Not one colony grew back from the whiskey-treated ice. The researchers traced this to the acidity of whiskey, which is far harsher than the nearly neutral vodka, and to ethanol, which attacks bacterial membranes. While the legend of whiskey as the only self-sanitizing spirit may be exaggerated, the science is clear. Among popular bar drinks, whiskey is uniquely unfriendly to germs. It is not a magic shield, especially once ice melts and dilutes the alcohol, but in the lab, it stands alone, leaving bacteria with nowhere to hide. A steaming mug, a squeeze of lemon, a spoonful of honey, and a measured pour of whiskey. This is the classic hot toddy. But what actually happens inside the body when you sip one? According to Dr. William Schaffner, professor of infectious diseases at Vanderbilt University, the relief is not just in your head. Alcohol in whiskey acts as a vasodilator, widening blood vessels and increasing blood flow to the mucous membranes. That means less congestion and a soothing sensation in the nose and throat. Meanwhile, the honey forms a protective coating over irritated tissues, quieting coughs and easing the rawness that comes with a stubborn cold. The hot water and lemon are not just for flavor. Steam rising from the cup helps loosen mucus, while vitamin C gives the immune system a gentle nudge. And then there is sleep. Dr. Schaffner points out that the mild sedative effect of whiskey can help you drift off, which is the real secret weapon. Rest is what actually lets your body recover. No, a hot toddy will not cure a virus, but as Dr. Schaffner puts it, it can make you feel better while your body does the work. For many, that is reason enough to keep the kettle and the whiskey close at hand when the sniffles strike. Calories are the usual villain at happy hour, but whiskey slips past most of the blame. A standard 1.5 ounce shot of straight whiskey contains 0 grams of carbohydrates, 0 sugar, and 0 fat. Just about 97 calories, all from ethanol. Compare that to beer, which can pack 10 to 15 grams of carbs per pint, or a glass of red wine with about 4 grams. Cocktails add fruit juice or soda, and the sugar count climbs even faster. For anyone tracking macros, whiskey is the outlier. It will not spike blood sugar, will not bump insulin, and slides right into keto and low-carb diets without a hitch. Even the glycemic index gives whiskey a pass. There is no measurable effect. Dietitians regularly recommend it as the safest alcohol for people with diabetes or anyone dodging carbs. While the calories still count, there is no hidden sugar bomb lurking in the glass. For fitness-minded drinkers, whiskey is the only spirit that keeps its nutritional profile as clean as its finish. Grace Jones never cared for fads or miracle cures. Born in 1899, she outlasted 2 world wars, the rise of television, and a century of diet trends. When reporters asked her the secret to reaching 112, she did not mention superfoods or supplements. Her answer was simple: a nightly glass of whiskey before bed. For decades, this quiet ritual marked the end of her day. A single tot sipped slowly, no fuss. She called it her elixir for youth, telling the press, "A glass of whiskey before bed keeps me young." Doctors might debate the science, but Grace Jones' story captures something research often misses. The comfort of a familiar routine, the gentle warmth of a favorite drink, and the sense of calm it brings can matter just as much as what is in the glass. For Grace, that small measure of whiskey was more than tradition. It was a daily pause, a way to let go of worry and rest easy. Sometimes, the healthiest habits are not measured in milligrams or calories, but in the quiet moments that help us weather life's storms. In a world overflowing with sugary drinks and empty promises, whiskey's chemistry stands alone. 0 carbs, real antioxidants, and proven bacteria fighting power. But health is never just in the glass. Moderation is the real secret, so what you choose to pour matters, now more than ever. Cheers to that.